Welcome back to The Source of the Rings, where we look at the signs, codings, and real-life inspirations behind characters in the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the final episode of the first season, the last time we look at The Hobbit, and what better way to wrap up the book than with those 11th hour power birds, the eagles. Ancient messengers of the King of the Valar, Manwë Sulimo, the eagles are enigmatic within Tolkien's realm. There is no concrete answer as to what they are in the texts. And Tolkien, in personal correspondence and changing drafts, had multiple explanations. Simple animals taught how to speak, Maiar in bird form, ancient beings from before the dawn of the elves, it's unclear. But they were active at least by the first age. Thorondur was their leader, and they served Manwë as Watchers of Morgoth. They were also allies to the elves of Gondolin, Maedhros, Luthien, and Fingolfin. They fought in the War of Wrath, where they eliminated most of Middle-earth's dragons, and Thorondur was able to greatly wound Morgoth himself. In the Second Age, the eagles play a minor role. Though they were seen in Númenor, their presence was much more mythical, reported as storm clouds and appearing during prayers. The Third Age, you're probably familiar with what happened. They were instrumental in helping Thorin's company reach Erebor, and to defeat the goblins in the Battle of the Five Armies. They were also the ones to rescue Gandalf, Frodo, and Sam during the War of the Ring. If you've only seen the movies, you might be surprised to learn that the eagles are intelligent, with emotions, culture, and motives of their own, and they serve no mortal. They're bigger than modern eagles, with Thorondur, the biggest, having a wingspan of 180 feet. However, by the generations of Gwaihir, the main eagle in The Lord of the Rings, they could only carry people shorter distances, not cross-country. With sharp beaks and talons, powerful wings, and mastery over the air, this reclusive force was not one to be angered. So, what inspired Tolkien's eagles? Let's start with considering what actual physical bird inspired it. A lot of people like to say that it was a pterosaur, or other avian dinosaur that inspired it, to make the size of the eagle make sense. I get the desire to do that, but Tolkien's eagles also talk, so I think the size wouldn't automatically disqualify a normal-looking bird from the position. Also, Tolkien, in a letter to Rona Beer, acknowledged the similarities between fell beasts and pterosaurs, but never said anything regarding the eagles. Lastly, though the notion had certainly been proposed, it wasn't until after Tolkien's death that dinosaurs' relation to birds was accepted by the general public. More plausibly, people have identified Tolkien's eagles as Host's eagles. This extinct New Zealand raptor had a wingspan nearing 10 feet and a length nearing 5. It flew around 15 miles per hour and hunted moa, a 12-foot, 500-pound flightless bird. Maori folklore says there was a bird in New Zealand that could abduct human children, and it's generally assumed that this bird was the Host's eagle. Given their prey size and the relative weights of modern eagles' carrying power, Host's eagles could easily carry hobbits, and the biggest ones, if similarly strong to creatures like the crown eagle, could carry adult humans. I love this idea, and it's certainly possible, but there's no indication that Tolkien knew about Host's eagles. Europeans first learned of them in the 19th century, so again, it is possible, but we don't know whether or not Tolkien had even heard of them. Some people have also suggested harpy eagles or serpent eagles, and while, again, I do like the possible imagery, there's little to support it. However, we do have a painting of an eagle by Tolkien, with Bilbo as scale to show that they were much larger than any flying bird. Still, the design of this bird was based upon a drawing of a golden eagle by English ornithologist Thomas Alfred Coward. The physical appearance of these birds, I feel safe in saying, should resemble golden eagles. After all, this makes sense. Golden eagles have sharp talons, great lifting power, mile-long vision, and a capacity for traversing large bodies of water. The question of the mythical bird that inspired Tolkien's eagles I feel less confident answering. Still, I do have two ideas. To fit their role in the Second Age, I am reminded of thunderbirds, a continent-spanning figure in many different North American tribes. Their association with storm clouds is pretty obvious, and their role as messengers of Manwë and as helpers of mortals, without being disrespectful to any religion by revealing secret practices many anthropologists before me have, is not dissimilar to the role of thunderbirds in some Plains traditions. Like I said, it would be disrespectful to talk about this further, but there is some similarity. Even more convincingly, though, the concept of a giant eagle carrying mortals to safety appeared in mythologies of which I know Tolkien was familiar. Originating in Persian mythology, the Rock entered into Mongolian, Italian, and Ethiopian Christian folklore. The Rock was described as a giant eagle, large enough to carry an elephant. In 1001 Nights, humans caught rides from the giant birds, and in Kebra Nagast, a Ethiopian Christian book, it delivers materials destined to play a role in history, implied to have been sent by the Christian god. I, again, feel kind of comfortable saying that there's a good chance that the Rock, at least partially, inspired Tolkien's eagles. Wow, I guess that's the first season, huh? We cover Gandalf, Thorin, Bjorn, Lake Town, the Mirkwood Elves, the Bagginses, and the Eagles. I've had a lot of fun making this show, and I've really enjoyed the response to it. In a while, this show will come back to look at characters and concepts from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'd love to know what, if anything, you'd like to see. Until then, thanks for watching. And before I sign off, I'm going to recommend you check out friend of the channel Aubrey at Diverse Tolkien's new podcast, also called Diverse Tolkien. You can find links below and on my featured channels page, or by searching Diverse Tolkien on YouTube. Thanks again.